on, Hale, except to my friends." He looked hard at the old man. "Do you know that's a pretty dangerous joke of yours, my friend? I might have a gun myself sometimes. Did you think you could scare me?" The mountaineer stared in genuine surprise. "'Twasn't no joke," he said shortly, "and I don't waste time skeerin' folks. I reckon you don't know who I be." "I don't care who you are." Again the mountaineer stared. "No use gettin' mad, young feller," he said coolly. "I mistaken ye for somebody else and I ax your pardon. When you get through fishin' come up to the house right up the creek thar and I'll give ye a dram." "Thank you," said the fisherman stiffly, and the mountaineer turned silently away. At the edge of the bushes he looked back. The stranger was still fishing, and the old man went on with a shake of his head. "He'll come," he said to himself. "Oh, he'll come." That very point Hale was debating with himself as he unavailingly cast his minnow into the swift water and slowly wound it in again. How did that old man know his name? And would the old savage really have hurt him had he not found out who he was? The little girl was a wonder. Evidently she had muffled his last name on purpose, not knowing it herself, and it was a quick and cunning ruse. He owed her something for that. Why did she try to protect him? Wonderful eyes, too, the little thing had, deep and dark, and how the flame did dart from them when she got angry. He smiled, remembering. He liked that. And her hair. It was exactly like the gold bronze on the wing of a wild turkey that he had shot the day before. Well, it was noon now. The fish had stopped biting after the wayward fashion of bass. He was hungry and thirsty, and he would go up and see the little girl and the giant again and get that promised dram. Once more, however, he let his minnow float down into the shadow of a big rock, and while he was winding in, he looked up to see in the road two people on a gray horse, a man with a woman behind him, both old and spectacled, all three motionless on the bank and looking at him, and he wondered if all three had stopped to ask his name and his business. No, they had just come down to the creek, and both they must know already.
"Ketchin' any?"
called out the old man cheerfully. "Only one," answered Hale with equal cheer. The old woman pushed back her bonnet as he waded through the water towards them, and he saw that she was puffing on a clay pipe. She looked at the fisherman and his tackle with the naive wonder of a child, and then she said in a commanding undertone,
"Go on, Billy."
"Now, old hun, I wish you'd jest wait a minute."
Hale smiled. He loved old people, and two kinder faces he had never seen, two gentler voices he had never heard.
"I reckon you got the only green perch up here," said the old man, chuckling, "but thar's a sight of 'em down thar below my old mill."
Quietly the old woman hit the horse with a stripped branch of elm, and the old gray, with a switch of his tail, started.
"Wait a minute, hon," he said again, appealingly, "won't ye?"
But calmly she hit the horse again, and the old man called back over his shoulder,
"You come on down to the mill and I'll show ye whar you can ketch a mess."
"All right," shouted Hale, holding back his laughter, and on they went, the old man remonstrating in the kindliest way, the old woman silently puffing her pipe and making no answer except to flay gently the rump of the lazy old gray. Hesitating hardly a moment, Hale unjointed his pole, left his minnow bucket where it was, mounted his horse, and rode up the path. About him the beech leaves gave back the gold of the autumn sunlight, and a little ravine high under the crest of the mottled mountain was on fire with the scarlet of maple. Not even yet the morning chill left the densely shaded path. When he got to the bare crest of a little rise, he could see up the creek a spiral of blue rising swiftly from a stone chimney. Geese and ducks were hunting crawfish in the little creek that ran from a milk house of logs, half hidden by willows at the edge of the forest, and a turn in the path brought into view a log cabin well chinked with stones and plaster, and with a well-built porch. A fence ran around the yard, and there was a meat house near a little orchard of apple trees, under which there were many hives of bee gums. This man had things hung up and was well to do. Down the rise and through a thicket he went, and as he approached the creek that came down past the cabin there was a shrill cry ahead of him.
"Whoa thar, Buck! Gee haw, I tell ye!"
An ox wagon evidently was coming on, and the road was so narrow that he turned his horse into the bushes to let it pass.
"Whoa haw! Gee, Buck! Gee, I tell ye! I'll knock your fool head off the first thing you know."
Still there was no sound of ox or wagon, and the voice sounded like a child's, so he went on at a walk in the thick sand, and when he turned the bushes he pulled up again with a low laugh. In the road across the creek was a chubby, tow-haired boy with a long switch in his right hand and a pine dagger and a string in his left. Attached to the string and tied by one hind leg was a frog. The boy was using the switch as a goad and driving the frog as an ox, and he was as earnest as though both were real.
"I'll give ye a little rest now, Buck," he said, shaking his head earnestly. "Hit's a purty hard pull here, but I know, by gum, you can make hit, if you hain't too dern lazy. Now git up, Buck!" he yelled suddenly, flaying the sand with his switch. "Git up! Whoa haw! Gee!"
The frog hopped several times.
"Whoa now," said the little fellow, panting in sympathy. "I knowed you could do it."
Then he looked up. For an instant he seemed terrified, but he did not run. Instead, he stealthily shifted the pine dagger over to his right hand and the string to his left. "Here, boy," said the fisherman with affected sternness. "What are you doing with that dagger?" The boy's breast heaved and his dirty fingers clenched tight around the whittled stick.
"Don't you talk to me that way," he said with an ominous shake of his head. "I'll gut ye."
The fisherman threw back his head, and his peal of laughter did what his sternness failed to do. The little fellow wheeled suddenly, and his feet spurned the sand around the bushes for home. The astonished frog dragged bumping after him. "Well," said the fisherman. End of Chapter 3. Recording by Barony. The Trail of the Lonesome Pine by John Fox, Jr.